Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiraye. Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityaṁ bhāgavata-sevayā. Bhagavati uttamashloke bhaktir bhavati naistike. Ārādhayo bhagavāna vrajeshu tanayas tadhāma vrindavanam. Ramya kāchitupāsana vrajavadhu vargena vā kalpita. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam pramānamamalam prema pumartho mahā. Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu matamidam Tatradharana paraha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Kṛṣṇa, dear worshipful devotees, thank you so much for joining. Today is a very wonderful day. It's the day of the Ashtami in the Kartik month, in the Shukla Paksha, primarily celebrated as Gopashtami, where Krishna took charge of herding the cows. From Vatsapal, he became Gopal, the one who takes care of the cows. So, and also the disappearance day of Sri Gadadhar Das Goswami, Sri Dhananjaya Pandit and Srinivas Acharya, 3 disappearance days also on this holy day. So it's very, very nice to read Bhagavatam, study Bhagavatam on this day. So we are reading Canto 10, chapter number 11. We are almost about to wrap up the Damodar Leela as per the Bhagavatam. And this is actually the last verse. Text 6 is the last verse where the Damodar Leela basically wraps up in Canto 10, chapter 11, text number 6. So let's read that wonderful verse. Ulu khalam vikarshantam damna baddham swam atmajam Vilokyananda prasad vadano vimochahi. Translation and purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. When Nanda Maharaj saw his own son bound with ropes to the wooden grinding mortar and dragging it, he smiled and released Krishna from his bonds. Purport: Nanda Maharaj was surprised that Yashoda, Krishna's mother, could have bound her beloved child in such a way. Krishna was exchanging love with her. How then could she be so cruel as to bind him to the grinding wooden mortar? Nanda Maharaj understood this exchange of love, and therefore he smiled and released Krishna. In other words, as Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, binds a living entity in fruitive activities, he binds Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj in parental affection. This is his pastime. Wow. Isn't that sweet? So Nanda Maharaj smiled. Why? Seeing the love of the mother. It was not that Mother Yashoda was taking out some revenge and therefore she bound. It was out of pure love. And the last line I really like. As Krishna, the Supreme Lord, binds a living entity, a conditioned soul, a Baddha Jiva, in the fruitive activities. He binds Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj or his pure devotees in parental affection or his loving exchanges, basically. This is his sweet, wonderful pastime, which basically ends. So Nanda Maharaj, when he saw Krishna was there, he could easily untie him. We discussed before that the Gopa friends, the cowherd friends, could not untie because they are in the Sakya Rasa. But Nanda Maharaj is in the Vatsalya Rasa. He could untie Krishna. And I was hearing a class, I think one of the devotees asked, I forgot who asked, like, what happened to Nalkuvar and Manigriva afterwards? So it is mentioned in the other Gaudiya Vaishnava text that Nalkuvar and Manigriva became Snigdha Kanta and Madhu Kanta later in Goloka Vrindavan. Nalkuvar and Manigriva became Snigdha Kanta and Madhu Kanta later in Goloka Vrindavan. So this is a sweet pastime of Damodar Leela, right? Isn't that very, very nectarian to all of our hearts? Now, I was hearing a class by His Holiness Indradumna Maharaj, yes, today, and Maharaj was explaining from a book named Gopal Champu, where Srila Jiva Goswami further mentions what happened after this point. Are you interested to know what happened when Nanda Maharaj untied Krishna? Baldev Prabhu is very interested. Anyone else? Shall we? I was thinking to narrate that, but then I felt, hearing from Maharaj directly would be pure nectar. So it's about 12 minutes or about 10 minutes. So I'm going to play that now, so we can all hear this pure nectar from Maharaj himself. Just to give the context, the scene is Damodara Leela as per Bhagavatam ends at this verse, which we just read. Nand Maharaj has untied Krishna, and he is smiling, and he saw all this. So we just read this verse. Now we're going to see what happens after this particular scene.
It's like what happens next. So at that point, just after untying Krishna, Nanda Maharaj says to him, "My dear son, who is the rascal who has tied you to this mortar?" So Krishna kind of stretches up and whispers in his father's ear, a whisper, "Oh father, mother did this." Krishna said, "Mother did this." So hearing that, Nanda Maharaj was silent. And he decided to take Krishna down to the Jamuna, where they both bathed. And after that, Nanda Maharaj requested Brahmins to chant protective mantras and perform rituals to remove any lingering negative influences on his son. Then Nanda Baba and Krishna returned to the palace, accompanied, it's described by, Shiva says, by sounds of drums, kartals, and singing. And then Nanda Maharaj sat with Krishna and Balaram and told them stories for an hour. Meanwhile, Jiva Goswami says, it's difficult to hear, Mother Yasoda sat locked in her own room in self-imposed exile. Mother Yasoda sat locked in her own room in self-imposed exile. Ashamed for having bound Krishna and devastated at having put his life in danger. So Jiva Goswami writes that Mother Yasoda would neither leave her room nor talk to any of the other women in the palace. She just stayed by herself and cried and cried and cried and cried. This is Vatsalya rasa, where we're churning the nectar of the ocean of devotion and coming up with all these different emotions according to one's relationship with Krishna. So this is Vatsalya rasa, the parental mood. And these things are going on just to increase, ultimately, one's love for Krishna and Krishna's love for his devotees. It's just part of the Leela, the pastime. So she cried and she cried and she cried. Now, after having served Nanda Maharaj his dinner, Rohini Devi went to console Yasoda with sweet words and convince her to eat something. But Yasoda, her eyes red from crying, she just refused. And concerned whether Krishna had sufficient milk, and aware that Mother Yasoda was not nursing him, Nanda Maharaj, he went and he brought fresh milk from the barn. He mixed it with sugar and he gave it to Krishna and Balaram. And as Nanda Maharaj sat and watched Krishna drink, Mother Rohini, with some of the senior women in the palace, they came to Nanda Maharaj and they pleaded, "O king, your wife has not eaten all day, neither will she speak to anyone." Nanda Maharaj replied, "What can I do? She is undergoing the proper atonement for one needlessly overcome by anger. For such mistakes, one should show remorse." It's just the plot thickening to increase the bhav, get the end result. Love for Krishna, ad infinitum. So Rohini was shocked. She said, "Nanda, your soft-hearted wife will be devastated by such words." So at this point, I was reading slowly because it was just so much nectar. The first time I heard it, I was just like relishing it, like you relish a feast. Nanda Maharaj looked at Krishna, who was playing nearby with Balaram, and he said, "Krishna, will you go to your mother?" And Krishna just shook his head forcefully and said, "No, I'll stay with you." So disappointed, Mother Yasoda's maidservants, they said, "Dear child, then whose milk will you drink when you become hungry?" So Krishna responded quite defiantly, "I will drink cow's milk mixed with sugar." And they said, "And then who will you play with?" Krishna answered, "With my father and my brother Balaram. That's all." So Rohini said softly, "My son, why are you being so merciless? Your mother is suffering." So this caused some tears to come to Krishna's eyes, but he just looked at his father, trying to, didn't want to talk about it anymore. He just started crying, but then he looked at his father. Now, at a signal from Rohini, Balaram went to take Krishna's hand in order to go with him to see Mother Yasoda, but Krishna pulled away from his brother, and then he climbed up on his father's lap with tear-filled eyes. Now, looking for a way to invoke Krishna's eternal love for his mother, Nanda Maharaj did something unusual, but there was a purpose behind it. He raised his fist and he said, "Son, if you agree, then I will go to your mother right now and beat her. I'll beat her for her misdeeds." So hearing this, Krishna, once he grabbed his father's fist. It was just a ploy. He grabbed his father's fist, and with tears rolling down his cheeks, he said, "Please, Father, no." So Nanda Maharaj said, "Son, you are right. I don't need to punish her now, for she is dying of sorrow anyway. For she is dying of sorrow anyway." Hearing that his mother was dying, he's a child, Krishna cried out piteously, "Where is my mother? I must see her right now. Maya, 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 where are you, mother?" So Krishna ran to Rohini, who embraced him and carried him. This is a great movie. It's an eternal movie in the spiritual world. And carried him, it's a reality, carried him into Mother Yasoda's room, where he ran to his mother, who was lying in bed. And crying in happiness, he jumped into the bed, and he hugged her, and he kissed her. And as she held Krishna in her arms, Mother Yasoda's aching heart just melted. And I was reading, her sobbing could be heard throughout the palace, the sound of which made her husband and everyone in the palace also cry in ecstasy. Jiva Goswami writes that by Krishna's magical touch, Mother Yasoda regained her natural effulgence and beauty. She assured her friends that she was all right, happily breastfed her son, and it said, again tasted transcendental bliss. Again tasted transcendental bliss. So I was reading that Krishna and his mother were happily reunited on the evening of Diwali. The same day that Krishna was bound. But for the next 2 days, out of fear, Mother Yasoda wouldn't come out of her room into the presence of her husband. She was too afraid. So on the evening, the evening of the third day, Nanda Maharaj asked Krishna to find his mother. So following Nanda Maharaj's order, Krishna enticed his mother to come before Nanda Maharaj by pulling on the edge of her sari. Vatsalyaras, Vatsalyaras, Vatsalyaras. And with that, the pastime of binding Krishna came to an end. A pastime in which Krishna showed extraordinary mercy to Mother Yasoda, that not only demigods, but also the goddess of fortune were amazed by. And this is confirmed in a very famous verse by Srila Shukadeva Goswami in the Bhāgavatam. Very famous. Quote, "Neither Lord Brahma, nor Lord Shiva, nor even the goddess of fortune, who is always the better half of the Supreme Lord, can obtain from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the deliverer from this material world, such mercy as received by Mother Yashoda." Hare Kṛṣṇa. I was reading that afterwards that the veranda of Maharaj Nanda's palace, where Mother Yasoda first churned, mantana it's described, yogurt, dadi, and where Krishna very angrily broke the butter churn, it's become immortalized as dadi mantana shtala. Dadi mantana shtala. So I'm going to conclude here. I don't know if we'll have another lecture on this series. Let me just kind of look, maybe backtrack and hear some prayer. I don't know, we'll see. I'll think about it. I've got a week. But I wanted to conclude that the next day, Mother Yasoda and Mother Rohini sat listening to the pastimes of their sons. And it's this particular Leela. It's a simple Leela, but they're very deep, any Leela in Vrindavan. There's a beautiful verse in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, 10:11:34, which describes, kind of after it's all over, everybody's sitting together and talking, Krishna Katha. This is a perfect verse to end today. It's 10:11:34. Tado Yashoda Ronhin Yav Ekam Shakatam Astite Reja Krishna Rama Bhayam Tat Katha Sarva Natsuke. We'll end with this verse. Thus hearing about the pastimes of Krishna and Balaram with great pleasure, Mother Yasoda and Rohini, so as not to be separated from Krishna and Balaram for even a moment, got up with them on one bullock cart. In this situation, they all looked very beautiful. I'll recite it one more time, for you and for me. Thus hearing about the pastimes of Krishna and Balaram with great pleasure, Mother Yasoda and Rohini, so as not to be separated from Krishna and Balaram for even a moment, got up with them on one bullock cart. In this situation, they all looked very beautiful. Shri Brajubhumi Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki, Kartik month 2022 Ki, Damodar Leela Ki, Mother Yasoda Ki, Krishna Balaram Ki, Nanda Maharaj, Mother Yasoda, all the cowherd men and women of Vrindavan Ki. Such a wonderful pastime. So we'll leave you there, and we'll be back in 1 week.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So, how was it? Let's take some thoughts, some reflections. We pretty much covered the entire Damodar Leela in a very, very the best of the all times, you can say, in the Damodar month. The last few chapters we have been reading, and this is the last verse of Damodar Leela. Let's take some thoughts, some reflections, anything you want to share, add, or ask.
So, Vishnu, he just told that the paternal affection could untie the Krishna, but not the friendly affection, the Shakho. Why is that?
Because parental is higher Sakya than the Sakya Rasa. That's the reason I heard when I was hearing this. Parental Rasa is higher than the Sakya Rasa. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Any other thoughts?
Sir, but I did not understand the question properly. Can you explain the question?
Yeah, why the friends of Krishna were not able to untie him?
Okay.
That was the question.
Thank you.
Yes, Kashish Mataji?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Tandapanam, all devotees, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Prabhu, there was just a thought in my mind, and when I was listening to this lecture just now, I thought, actually, I'm unable to answer the question you asked. I just wanted to share this thought that a little baby Krishna, in the love of her mother, his mother, he's also crying like for his mother. It feels like the Lord of all the universe is, out of love, is behaving like he's tied in the Maya. So, what about us? We are just tiny, helpless souls, always looking for his mercy, entangled in the claws of Maya and looking like how we can get out of this, Prabhu. So it was wonderful to see Lord crying like this for his mother. Yes, I could say. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mataji, for sharing this from your heart. The devotee is crying for Krishna, and Krishna is crying for his devotee. I think I shared the Gopashtami class. Not sure if you got a chance to hear, but again, for our purification, on this Gopashtami day, when Krishna was about to be given this charge of cows, mother didn't want to send him, right? Because he's just a 5-year-old getting into 6th year. And in the cow, cows are big. Their feet are much strong than the vatsa, right? If a baby calf steps on us and a big cow steps on us, it's much different. Their feet are quite strong. And plus in the forest, wild animals and wild grasses, whatnot. So she was really concerned. She didn't want to send the child. But somehow, Krishna's friend used to say, hey, looks like your parents don't trust you. Looks like your parents don't, you are like still a baby. They're having their fun time with you are still a child. When will you grow up? So they're having their different, way of exchanging rasa. But finally permission was given. And Krishna was also trying to build his team by approaching the uncles. Hey, uncles, you try to convince the father by approaching different people. Yes, by hook or crook, somehow I need to get the approval. So he had been trying to get, and finally they agreed. But Mata Yashoda says, still, I need to give umbrella to Krishna because it will be hard. I need to give shoes. So she was preparing shoes for Krishna. So she prepared nice shoes with her own hands, because my dear Nandana, my dear darling, my baby, my pranath, my life and soul is going to go out I don't want anything to prick in his lotus feet, in his soft. Those feet are like thunderbolt for demons, asuras like Kaliya. They were like thunderbolts. But those same feet are very, very soft for his devotees. Nrsingadev, I was hearing this, His Grace Amogila Prabhu was mentioning this. Nrsingadev touched the soft part of his palm on Prahlad's head, but the hard thunderbolt-like nails, Namaste Nrshingaya Prahlad Aladadain Hiranya Kashipu Vakshaha Shila Tanka Nakhalai. These nails like thunderbolt, they are for the demons to rip apart their chest. So hard for the demons, soft for the devotees. So then she made the shoes, and then finally Krishna said, "Oh, mother, you know, our life and soul is the cows. How can I wear shoes when my cows are not wearing shoes?" Right? Because their feet are also getting hurt. They are also going bare feet. How can I accept something which they don't have? This is a true servant leadership. Think about a lot of companies talk about this servant leadership. How can I accept the shoes when they don't have? So yeah, if you want me to accept shoes, maybe you make shoes for them too. That's only 9 million times 4. That's 900,000, 9 lakh times 4 is how much? 3.6 million only. And then she said, "Oh, Krishna." But look at the cows now. The cows were hearing all this. The cows were hearing all this. And by that night, by the transcendental potency of Yogamaya, all their chains and ropes, they were tied, they were untied. They were all set free. And they went into all the forest, and with their hard feet, their core, it was quite hard. They pulverized, they smashed each and every stone and turned into fine white sand. And still, if you go, somewhere like, do Govardhan Parikrama, at many places, you will experience so soft, pure, white, brown, white sand. Very, very soft, very, very soft. Like a talcum powder. You see the love of Krishna towards his devotee and love of devotees towards his Supreme Lord. This is the sweet reciprocal relationship. Krishna says, "I don't know anything but my devotee. My devotee knows nothing but me. I am in the heart of my devotees. My devotees are in my heart." This is the reciprocal sweet relationships. Thank you for sharing that comment. Anyone else has any other thoughts, comments, reflections on this? Anyone wants to share?
I just wanted to mention I joined a couple of minutes late for the video, but from what I was on and listening, Swamiji explained it, so it's like as if it's happening in front of our eyes. Explained it so from the bottom of his heart. Thank you for sharing, Prabhu. It was very nice hearing. Prabhuji, you're on mute, I think.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Mataji. Yeah, that's why I thought to run the video rather than me trying to repeat. It would be a great injustice. And hearing it directly from Maharaj is very, very nectarian. Any other thoughts before we move to something else? I was thinking that this Kartik month is still going on for next few days. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday we have program, Saturday we have program, Sunday also we have program. But we have, let's say, 2.5 days, half day now, and 2 days more. So let's see if we can cover the meaning of Dāmodarāshtakam, which we try every year to cover. We sing every day, but often it is very, very important to be mindful of what we are singing, so that we can appreciate that a lot more. And it really helps to when we know what we are singing, right? So shall we begin and we'll try to cover the 8 verses of Dāmodarāshtakam in next 2.5 days. Is it?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, perfect. So the word Dāmodarāshtakam, we all know how it's broken. We discussed the 5 meanings of Damodar also, but primarily the main meaning is that the one who is bound around the belly by the ropes of love by his devotee, Mother Yashoda. And Ashta means, today's Ashtami, Gopashtami. Ashta means 8. And the 8 verses by Srila Satyavrata Muni. Satyavrata Muni. And it's mentioned in the Padma Puran. So, a little bit about Satyavrata Muni. He's not the same Satyavrata Muni King Satyavrata who found the fish, right? We know the Matsya Avatar, that's also the word Satyavrata comes there. But these two are different personalities. He was one of the 88,000 rishis present in the Naimisharanya. So what was going on in Naimisharanya? Anyone recalls? 88,000 rishis were present. What do we?
Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam.
Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam was going on. Okay, very nice. Who was speaking to whom primarily?
Sut Goswami.
Sutta Goswami was speaking. And Shaunak Rishi was the spokesperson. So he was also present. It's mentioned. He means Satyavrata Muni was also present at that time there. So let's go deeper into these prayers. And these prayers are full of a lot of devotion, talking about Krishna's bhakta vashyata, or bhakta adhinata, or bhakta vatsalyata, that he's bound by the love of his devotee. He's subservient to the love of his devotee. He is caught up in the ropes of the love of his devotees, and so on. So maybe someone can read this verse and someone can read the translation, so we can. Anyone? Let's begin with text 1 of. Yeah, Prabhu, please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Namamishwaram Sachidanandarupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Brajamanam Yashoda Biyoluda Latavamana Paramista Matyanta Gopya. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Anyone wants to read the translation?
I can read Thousand devotees all restriction Prabhupada. To the Supreme Lord, whose form is the embodiment of eternal existence, knowledge, and bliss,
I think your voice is not audible.
whose
Network.
short-shaped earrings are swinging to and fro, who is beautifully shining in the divine realm of Gokul, who I, due to the offense of breaking the pot of yogurt that his mother was churning in butter. Okay, Prabhuji. Hare Kṛṣṇa. Prabhuji, someone else can read.
Upendra Prabhu, you want to complete, please?
Yeah, Prabhuji. Hare Kṛṣṇa devotees. To the Supreme Lord, whose form is embodiment of eternal existence, knowledge, and bliss, whose shark-shaped earrings are swinging to and fro, who is beautifully shining in the divine realm of Gokula, who I, due to the offense of breaking the pot of yogurt that his mother was churning into butter and then stealing the butter that was kept hanging from a swing, is quickly running from the wooden grinding mortar in fear of Mother Yashoda. But who has been caught from behind by her, who ran after him with greater speed to that Supreme Lord, Sri Damodar, I offer my humble obeisances. Hare Kṛṣṇa Prabhuji.
There you go. So, this is the text one of the 8 verses. So many of our prayers begin with this word, Nama. Namo Nama Tulasi Krishna Priyasi Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Namaha Parama Kalyana Namaha Parama Mangala Vasudevaya Shantaya Yadunam Pataye Namaha Namaste Narasimhaya. You see, so many verses begin with the word Nama. I bow down, I offer my pranams, I prostrate myself. Same translation, similar translation, but the point is, the first step is to offer our respectful obeisance, bow down to the Supreme Lord, Ishvara, Nama Ishvara. So Srila Sanatana Goswami has done commentary on this called Digdarshani. And this first verse talks about multiple excellence of the Lord. The first line primarily talks about the Tattva. So it's very important to understand the Tattva before we try to jump to the Rasa. Tattva is the philosophical understanding, the truth, the essence. Rasa is the sweet pastimes. But without understanding, whom are we talking about? We're not talking about some ordinary child who has stolen something. We're not talking about some ordinary mother and ordinary child having this kind of a, exchange of some, oh, someone will say, well, my child also does mischief. I also scold him. I also sometimes run behind. What's the big deal? Therefore, it's important to understand in the first line itself, we are talking about Ishvara, the supreme controller, Satchidananda Vigraha, Satchidananda Rupam. All words are important. Sat, eternal, Chit, full of knowledge, Ananda, full of bliss. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha. Satchidananda. He is, and Rupa, not talking about some impersonal light, not talking about some effulgence. We're talking about the personality who has a blissful, eternal, full of knowledge form, who is praised by all the demigods, who is praised by all the sages. We're talking about that Supreme Lord. So the first line talks about the Tattva. The next line talks about the Rupa. Rupa Vishesh, or excellence of beauty. What is it doing? What's going on? Namam Ishwaram Satchidananda Rupam. Lasat Kundala. Lasat Kundala. Kundala means earrings. Kundala means earrings. Lasanti is basically swinging. Now, why this word Lasanti is used is because Krishna is running. If Krishna is standing, will the kundals, if anyone wearing earrings, let's say, long earrings, will they swing back and forth? If they are just standing, or even they are mildly moving? No. They're swinging back and forth. And this adjective is used to talk about the kundala were swinging. Lasat kundalam. That shows Krishna was running. And also the other like internal and sweeter meaning is that the earrings are sporting on Krishna's cheek, and they are very blessed to kiss Krishna's cheek all the time. So that's the rasa. Lasat kundalam, and that's why the sages and the gopis are saying, wow, they have the great fortune. Mahasobhagya, Mahasobhagya. They are so fortunate that they are getting chance to be on Krishna's cheek all the time. Krishna's body is the ornament of his ornaments. Generally, people wear ornaments like, kundala or garland or what do you call, necklace and bangles and whatnot. Like, why? To make them look more beautiful. But when Krishna wears ornament, the ornaments become beautiful because they are on the body of Krishna. This is Krishna, our dear, the most beautiful. Krishna's body is the ornament of his ornaments. So, there's a beautiful statement here. O Shri Krishna, by seeing your beauty, which attracts all the three worlds, these cows, birds, trees, and deer are all experiencing their hair standing on end. So, like that, he was the Rupa, or the beautiful form of Krishna, is explained in that word, Lasat Kundalam. Then, Gokule Bhrajamanam. Gokula. Now, this is discussion about, so first was Tattva Vishesha, then was Rupa Vishesha, and third comes Parivar Vishesha. Now here is the discussion about Krishna's family. Where is he? In Gokula, who is splendorously manifest in Gokula. What is Gokula? Go means cows. Gokula is a place, indicates the gopas, the gopis, the cows, the calves, the go, and so forth, reside. It's their kula, it's their land, it's their native place. Bhrajamanam. Basically, it's the place where he can manifest these excellent pastimes. So, about his family aspect, the attributes of his family in this word, Gokula. Now, Yashoda Bhiya. Yashoda Bhiya means the fear of Yashoda. Now it's talking about the fourth attribute, which is the Leela Vishesha. So, Tattva Vishesha. Then comes the Rupa Vishesha. Then Kula. Parivar Vishesha, or family, and then the Leela Vishesha from this word Yashoda Bhiyo Luka Ladhava Manam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead. Fear personifies, fears Krishna. Krishna says, in so many verses that the sun and the moon are running because of fear of me, right? They're running in the fear of Krishna. Everyone is fearful of death, but Krishna says, Kalo asmi. But here, that Supreme Lord is fearful of Yashoda. And not just fearful, he's running also. Dhava. Dhava means to run. Ulukalata. Uluka. Ulukala means the grinding motor. And when someone gets down, is the ulukalat, the fifth vibhakti is used here. He gets down from the grinding motor and starts running. So he got down, ulukalat dhavamanam. Why he's running? Because he knows that he has broken butter, a pot, and he has been distributing butter to the monkeys, which Mata Yashoda has done a lot of hard work to get that butter from the yogurt, and now he's kind of just, freely distributing food for life. So much hard work we have done here to distributing food for life. Right? So this is the Leela Vishesha. Then comes the Saundarya Vishesha in the fourth line. Paramrishtam atyam tam drutya gopya. Paramrishtam atyam to drutya gopya. But look at Mata Yashoda. This is the beauty, the excellence of beauty, or called Saundarya Vishesha. The 6 super excellence are shared in this first stanza itself. So Mata Yashoda is heavy, the hairs are falling, and she has a lot of love for Krishna. Sneha Vishesha. Sneha, mamata, prema, affection. The flowers are in different groups. We have discussed that some flowers are in Yashoda's camp, some flowers are in the Krishna's camp. Right? You remember this? We discussed this. And some are feeling our place is at the Mata Yashoda's feet. She's already struggling so hard. We don't want to be a burden. Let us fall down. Because if we are on head, then how it'll be extra weight she has to bear. Some are feeling, how can we be on the head of the person who is on the so dear to Krishna? We deserve position at her feet. So not on the head, fall down. So, but some are on Krishna's side. Hey, she's going to punish Krishna. She's going to catch Krishna. How can we dare to see this if fall down? So like that, this is the Saundarya Vishesha, the beautiful pastime. That she has caught Krishna running at greater speed, right? So let's take some thoughts, or maybe if we can at least review what we have covered down. There's a lot of terms here, but in the first verse itself. So at least we covered one verse. And if everyone can just paraphrase, like in your own words, think about Namam, Ishwaram, Satchidananda, Rupam. If you understand most of the words, most of the word meanings, it becomes it becomes very easy to understand what is going on in this verse. Otherwise, sometimes we may be, moving or the lamp, singing from our mouth, but not know what we are singing, which is not bad. Certainly, it will have the effect. But Krishna himself mentions in the Govardhan Lila, which we study very soon, that when we do things with proper reasoning, the effect is much more. So would anyone like to kind of elaborate a little bit or share a little bit what you any takeaway from this particular text or first stanza? In your own words, you continue to tell the meaning of this, paraphrase the meaning of this or explain to someone, maybe try this as a homework, explain to someone, try to go word by word and explain to someone, maybe your friend, relative, etc. Yes, Kashish Mataji, you can share here.
Ji Prabhu, can I try by line?
Yeah, please
It's
try.
like, Ji, Namamishwaram Sachidananda Rupam. Prabhu, here we are. The first thing which comes in our mind, in our eyes, is the beautiful look of this Lord's beautiful image, in which we say that He is Sachidananda. The love of Lord, the word itself is so huge. Like in the beginning, Prabhuji is trying to elaborate we are giving the topmost paraphrase for the Lord, which is Sachidananda. But then as we grow further, we see that it's a little Krishna, his beauty. The further paragraphs will explain us his fear, his love, his anxiety. But the beginning is so wonderful, Sachidananda Rupam, Lasat Kundalam, Gokuli Bhrajamanam. He's the heart of Gokul, his earrings. It starts creating the image of baby Krishna in our eyes. Namamishwaram Sachidananda Rupam, Lasat Kundalam, Gokuli Bhrajamanam. So it's when we start singing, we start feeling, we start imagining about the Lord. This is my understanding from this verse. Hare Kṛṣṇa.
Very nice. Any other thoughts, comments anyone has before we pause for today? Thank you, Kashish Mataji, for sharing.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, wonderful. Yeah, as you said, Namam Ishwaram. So he is the cause of all causes, and Ishvara is the supreme controller. So I'm bowing down, Namam. Then Satchit Ananda, as we know, I think. So he is Satchit Ananda. So all, Sat, and he's Chit, and Ananda, he's blissful, knowledgeable. Right? Lasat Kundalam. Lasat is Kundalam, we know earrings, and Lasat is they are swinging. Gokula, he is the Lord of Gokul. Nanda, Gokul was. And Yashoda, so he is fearful of Mother Yashoda, even though the whole world, all the universes, everyone, his fear of all fears, cause of all causes, but due to his motherly affection, he is feeling fear. And Yashoda, Manam, Utkal. So he is Utkala. So Ukala. So he's trying to get down from the Ukala and trying to run away. And Paramishta Matyanta Nityaṁ. So here Mother Yashoda is trying to catch Krishna, but as you nicely explained, even the flowers also, some of them want to fall down because they don't want to be in this crime, and also some of them are thinking that we have to be on the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. So and also some of the flowers are encouraging Mother Yashoda so that they don't want to be the burden. So in this way, that's what I think of. Please add.
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhu. Very nicely elaborated. Good. I think now, when we share, when we hear again and again, it gets deeper in our heart. So we can, while we are singing this, we can think of that wonderful pastime and meditate more. What is this going on? What are we singing? We can meditate more on this pastime. So it's almost time, so we will pause here, and in the next 2 days we'll try to complete all the other 7 verses as well, and then we'll have more wonderful programs. So thank you so much. ग्रंथ श्रीमद्-भागवतम पुराण की जय। श्री श्री गोपाष्टमी महामहोत्सव की
सब
जय।
की
श्री
जय।
कार्तिक मास की जय। श्री श्री राधा दामोदर की जय। श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। समवेत गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यश्च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो। Thank you. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri
हरे कृष्णा
Prabhupada.
प्रभु, हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी। काशी कब की है प्रभु जी?
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु, हरे कृष्ण।
हरे कृष्ण। एकादशी आज तो अभी अष्टमी है, तो 3 दिन।
फोर्थ की है?
अब आज अष्टमी, आज गोपाष्टमी, तो
जी।
एकादशी है फ्राइडे की, 4th फ्राइडे, थर्सडे, 3 दिन बाद।
थैंक यू।